Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. M.A.L.I. I greet our listening audience. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to our M.A.L.I Ramadan Sessions for students. We have the Ramadan Sessions during the month of Ramadan every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is week 2, day 3. Wednesday of day 3, we're live on Facebook and on the webinar. For those of you that would like to join us on the webinar, especially on Sunday, when we have discussions and questions and answers dealing with our presentation during the week, you can join us by dialing in 857-357-0254, and the access code is 534524#. If you go to the webinar, Muslim American Logic.ning.com, we go to Muslim American Logic. .ning.com, MuslimAmericanLogic.ning.com. Go down to my name. You will find the classes, and go down to my name and click on the highlight. Click on the highlight, and that would get you into the webinar. You'll find a list of teachers. Look under my name, and you can click on the highlight, and it will get you to the webinar as you follow the prompts. Today we're going to be looking at the source. We're going to be looking at, let me get my pen straight here. There we go. We'll be looking at the source, Arabic Dictionary by Ragib al-Isfahani. It's a Quranic Arabic dictionary, perhaps one of the most widely used Arabic dictionaries by Quranic students. Yes, it's Ragib al-Isfahani. It's known as, more popular by the name Ragib. And today we're going to be looking at man and inspiration. Concept of man. There are many different Arabic words that gives us a concept of man. In English, you may see the word man. In Arabic, there may be different Arabic words. So today we're going to look at one of the Arabic words that gives us the concept of man and man's relationship with inspiration, with Quranic examples. Now, yesterday we talked about Quran bil Quran, Quran by Quran, and we showed the source of the tafsir of Shinkiti. Now, what I'm going to do today, I'm not going to go over it in detail, but also I'll point out to you this dictionary, Ragib al-Isfahani, can also be a source for Quran bil Quran. It'll be a good source because not only is he giving you definitions, you can also see the Quranic context that he's going to show to arrive at the Quranic concept of a certain word. This is a good source to use as well. We use the concordance. You can use that on your own, the concordance. If you're not able to use a concordance, then you have Shinkiti, and now you have Aragib. So let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul, say, Innama ana basharun. Ana basharun. So today our word is going to be, one of the words is basharun. So I won't translate it. I'm going to leave it for the students. Basharun. I use the word basharun. Well, I'll say this is the word we're using for man, but as I'm going through the lesson, basharun, bashar. Mithlukum, yuha, and this is the other word we're looking at, yuha, inspiration. Yuha, when it comes to a basharun and inspiration, that the basharun is created in a way to be inspired. Yuha. Ilayya, to me. Annama ilahukum ilahun wahidun. Innama shows restriction. Ilahukum ilahun wahidun. Fastakimu ilayhi wastakfiruhu. Wawailun lil mushrikin. I don't think I need to translate that one for the students. Those of you who are not students, you're welcome, of course, to listen, to go along, but we're directing it to the students first. So, Aragib al-Isfahani, for Basharun, he gives us the internal noun al-Basharatu. So the root meaning, the way his dictionary is laid out, he gives you the internal noun, and in that internal noun is the root meaning of the word. So he's saying that al-basharatu is zahiru al-jaldi. It's the visibility of the skin. It's the exposure, the visibility, the appearance of the skin. This is the bashar, the skin. And he says, well, adamati, and the skin, we can say there's another skin, and it is al-batinihi. There's another skin, but it's hidden. So we have the skin, the zahir, the skin that you see. Then, if you peel back that skin, there's another skin. We call it flesh, but it's the skin. Flesh. Yes. So the student can stop here. The new student, you stop here, you get a definition. And perhaps next week, I'll add to this dictionary. We'll start looking at how to write a reflection based upon the dictionary. We won't do it today, but we'll take the meaning here, for example, and instead of saying basharun, we would say ana zahiru jaldi. I am or have the appearance of skin that's visible and that's also not visible. Or I am flesh and blood. You see the word blood in Adama. You can see the word blood. You can see blood in Adama. So you can say, I am flesh and blood. Yes. And that if you peel the skin away, you will see flesh and blood. That's the Adamite. Like you. وَأُبِّرَ, and it is expressed about man in terms of Besher, that indicates or considers the appearance of his skin from hair, meaning that the first idea is the visibility of the skin when removing the hair. It's the skin that's the hair. The hair is on. We see the skin right beneath the hair. This is the idea, first idea, the skin. Or you can say by removing the hair. بخلاف الحيوانات, so it's the opposite or difference of the animals. التي عليها, which is upon them السوف. Upon them they have fur. So the man doesn't have fur. You see his skin. His skin is visible. He's not covered by fur or hair that's covered his body. But man does have hair on him. He has hair, and we won't do it now. We'll talk about the one of the ideas or the symbols of hair on the man. But he's not covered with hair like the animal or fur. What's the way if you love the bashar? And it's the same in the pronunciation of bashar, the expression of bashar, in terms of singular, speaking of one person, or jami, speaking of the plural, three or more. But when it comes to the dual, as it says in the Quran, Allah says in the Quran, the Most High, فَأَنُّؤْمِنُوا لِبَشَرَيْنِ. So it's used for the dual, it's used in ayni. It attaches ayni. Ayni is what we call a sound dual. The sound dual, meaning that we added the ya and the noon in the genitive or in the accusative. For the students, we added, but for the singular and the plural, basha suffice. Basha is used in the singular and the plural, but when you want to express it in the dual, you would say basharani or basharaini in the Quran. We're speaking Quran now, not the modern standard Arabic speech. There's a difference. You have colloquial speech, Arabic speech, more or less what is spoken on the streets. You may have the modern standard Arabic that's spoken by the educated, news reporters, TV reporters, and then you may have Quranic Arabic. Now, many people say that the Arabic language is dual or diglossia, meaning that there's two languages, two types, the modern standard and the colloquial. But there's a third, is the Quran. It's a third level of Arabic, Quranic Arabic. And that's what we're studying. We're studying Quranic Arabic, not modern standard Arabic. There's a difference. So in Quranic Arabic, you will find Basharaini. And Bashar, it's not Basharuna, Basharai, Bashar. Bashar can be an expression for the dual. Let me put it that way. So it's indicated or specified in the Quran that in its places, in all of its places, that it's expressed that the body, his body, or the his appearance, his outer appearance, is being expressed in the Quran by the use of the term Bashar. When the Quran is using Bashar, he's saying it is speaking to man in his outer appearance, not his inner appearance. This is the concept of Bashar. Rajulun may be different. Insan is may be different. These are different words. So Bashar is addressing the outer appearance of man. For example, قوله تعالى, his saying the Most High, وهو الذي خلق من الماء بشرا. And it is he who he created, which he created from water as a bashar. This is in the singular. Water as bashar. He created from water basharan. Or it could be dual. All man. Bashar. Bashar. وقال عز وجل, and he says, the mighty, the most high, إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرًا مِنْ طِينٍ. So I am creating a basharan. This basharan, he's speaking more of the outer appearance. Now, take this in context. We're looking at the same verse. No, we looked at a different verse last week. But take this in context and what we're going to be speaking of throughout the week. Then perhaps I'll come back and make reference to it as we compare the sources. We look at the different sources. But this is the outer Bashar. And see the connection with Bashar and what we presented last week. When we talked about Salsalin. It's connecting. And we're following the Ramadan Session books of Imam W.D. Muhammad. We're following the pages, so as you're reading, you can see how he's making these connections, and we're going to be making these connections. How Bashar connects with Salsalin. Yes, if you've been following, I'm sure you see it. So he says, Khalikun Basharan Mentin. Yes, Salsalin Mentin, Basharan Mentin. And this could be what we call a collective noun. Though it appears singular, Basharan, in his writing, it could be collective, meaning that a Basharan is a type. But it consists of many, but we don't call it plural. We call it a collective noun. It's a type. And that type includes all the variations of man and woman. It's male and female, and all of its variations. So we put them all together as a type. We would say Basharan Mentin. وَلَمَّا أَرَادَ الْكُفَّارُ الْغَدُّ. And when the disbelievers who would turn away from the prophets. When they would have this expression of Basha, when they express it, they would say, I'm not translating this literally on purpose. They would say, In hada illa qawlu al-bashari. It says, this is only the saying of a bashar. This is only the saying of a bashar. Meaning that this bashar is no more than I am. Because he's looking at the exterior. وقالت Allah, and he says the Most High in another place in the Quran, أبشرا منا واحدا نتبعه He's saying this one man, this one basha from us, this one basha, are we to follow him? This one basha? So here basha is used in the singular. At first it's used as a collective noun. Now it's being used in the singular. This one man from us. Are we to follow him? Not them, him. ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا. This is another verse in the Quran. ما أنتم, you are not, you masculine plural. ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا. Now, let me say this. This may be within or without the context of the verse. Antum could be addressing, when he says Antum basharun, we could say it's the plural being addressed. You, Antum is you, masculine plural. Basharun, you are a man. You are only a man, basharun. It could be you all are only men. You are men, mithluna, like us. It could be addressing one individual. It could be addressing many individuals, many in terms of the plural. In the first instance, it could be addressing one person, and you are saying to that one person, Antum, out of honor. Because when you honor someone, when you're addressing someone of honor, you don't address them as Anta. You address them as Antum, because not only are you recognizing the individual person, Anta, but you're recognizing that individual and all the others that individual represent. You're addressing that individual and all that he represents. For example, we read in the Quran that Ibrahim is a community. So out of honoring Ibrahim, you don't say Anta. To Ibrahim, you say Antum. So a leader, you wouldn't address a leader who represents people as Anta. You would address a leader who represents people as Antum, even though you're speaking to the individual person. It's disrespectful to say Anta. When you're addressing your father, you address him as Antum, not Anta. It's very disrespectful to address your father as Anta. So when we give the greeting to the individual, we say Assalamu alaikum. Kum. Not Assalam alayka, Assalam alaykum, because of the respect that we're giving to that individual in terms of him, his family, and all that he represents. That's an honor that we give. So now, Basharun here, it could be in the plural, it could be in the singular, or it could even be seen as a collective plural, collective noun. In another verse, and nu'minu li basharaini, mithlunet, that we had earlier. Are we to believe in these two men like us? Basically speaking of, let's say, Moses and Aaron. Speaking of two now. That's two, one, two. Moses and Aaron. Li basharaini. Now, let us look real quick and showing you Quran, build a Quran with Uragib. So we start. Now we get the definition. All of these definitions, as you notice, I'm referring back. All of these examples of Bashar, I'm referring back in my mind to the original definition that is given. That it is they are addressing the Zahir al-Jaldi, because they're addressing the outer person in these verses, in these examples. They're not addressing the inner person, just what they're seeing on the surface, and that's the skin that they're seeing on the surface, and addressing them. So here in this type kind of dictionary, I'm sticking with the context of the dictionary. In the verses, he's giving examples of the definitions that he's given. He's talking about the outer skin, and he's showing you how Basha is used in the singular, the plural, and the dual. Yes, that's what he's showing. Now, in showing the Quranic verses, which is good about this dictionary, he's showing the Quranic verses and examples. Then we can take these examples that he's given, and we can create a word field from the verses that he's given with Basha in it. That way, if you don't have access to the concordance, let's say online, a nice concordance online in Arabic, that would show the words like I demonstrated, you can use the Uragib dictionary, which I would recommend. I would recommend the Uragib dictionary for Quran, Build a Quran, even before you try to do it with Shinkiti. Use Uragib first. And Uragib is a dictionary you're learning to read as students. So now, in using Uragib, you follow the same process. So you would say, here we have, find where the verse starts here. Usually after Ta'ala, something like that, you can go back or look for a colon to go back and start there. And Nu'minu, so Nu'minu would be a word. Belief would be a word for Basha. I believe we had that word before. And we come here, we say Huwa alladhi khalaqa, so we have create. We have water. These are key words for Basha. And then here we have create again. We have teen. We have teen here. So we have faith, belief, and faith. That's part of the Basha. That's part of the skin. Basha as skin. We have create. We have water. We have clay, dirt, teen. We have speech. following, yes. So these are key words that gives us we begin to form a word field that gives us a conceptual idea of Basher. We have the definition, the original definition, right, the root meaning of Basher. Now, when this word, that's the root meaning of Basher, when it enters into the Quran, this word, it begins to take on a certain shape and form or concept. And in this concept is the ideas of faith, water, creation or creature, team, clay, speech, following. It begins to form and shape the Quranic conceptual idea of Basher. Yes. And he continues with other verses. فَقَالُوا, and they said, أَبَشَرٌ يَهْدُونَنَا. Is this a Basher? That they guide us. They guide us. They. It's showing Basher in the plural. Basharun yahdunana. They guide us. So forth and so on. So guidance becomes guidance. Following and guidance is within the conceptual idea of Basher. Now let's look at inspiration. Basher and inspiration. So inspiration is within the conceptual idea of Basher. So he's giving you the absolute wahi, the root of this al-wahi, which is the word we use for inspiration. But even don't get locked in on inspiration. See all the words that's used around this word inspiration to give you the correct context or perception of what al-wahi is. And when you're using the dictionary, don't go into it with preconceived thoughts and ideas. These Arabic dictionaries are going to give you some ideas perhaps you didn't have previously because you're seeing it in Arabic. And you're seeing these Arabic words. And you're seeing Arabic words define Arabic words. So don't get too locked in English. You're going to begin to be thinking in Arabic instead of thinking in English. I know some people say you can't think in Arabic, you have to think in English. No, you can think in Arabic. As you begin to read the Quran, you'll be thinking in Arabic. You'll be seeing and feeling the words in Arabic, not in English. Yes. So he says, al-isharatu as-sariya. It's a quick sign, we can say, a quick sign. It comes fast, wahi. It's not something that you plan and it comes through experimentation or planning. It comes quick. Sariya, it comes quick. A quick sign, like that's pointing to something. Ishara it's a sign, but it's pointing to something. We can say wahi comes as a sign, but it's pointing, but you're not to take the sign as the reality. It's pointing to something that's not seen, maybe a higher reality. We don't see the higher reality of the thing. Everything that we see could be a sign of a higher reality. I prefer to say a higher, especially when we're reading Quran. we're reading the verses, yes, we see things as they appear, but however, they're just signs pointing to a higher universal reality. So when they come quick, these are signs that come quick. Yes. Wahi. That's wahi. So this quickness, to ensure this quickness, it is said that wahi is a command, or a command is wahi. It's done quick. It has to occur fast. And it will be by speech, or by the way of making a sign, using sign language, let's say, or maybe something that is exposed. It's all ishara. It's pointing to the idea of ishara. This is giving us the idea of ishara. Ishara by speech, ishara by symbol, ishara by exposure. And it could be by a sound, a pure sound that's composed or constructed. Like we have the Quran. When we're reading Quran, we're hearing sounds that have structure to the sound, a very eloquent composition. We hear music, well constructed sounds, just pure sounds, but they're constructed sounds, and in those sounds, there's ishara. It's pointing to something of a reality in the sounds. And there's also the idea of using some of the limbs. Like you could take your finger and point. That's ishara. Or even in the writings. In the writings. These are all giving us the idea of ishara. And that ishara, when it comes fast, when it's swift in terms of what we're getting from these signs, because they come short. Like a command. When you give a command, it has to be short. You can't have a long dissertation when given a command. So it has to come fast. So therefore it has to be short, these signs. Even the speech, we shorten the speech, we make contractions in the speech. We shorten the speech. But there's structure in it that gives us, that points to a large body of knowledge. If you understand what I'm saying. One word could point to a large body of knowledge. One picture is 1,000 words. So that picture is ishara. Ishara Sariya. And that's what when it comes to wahi, that's what's occurring perhaps. You're getting a picture real quick with just a sign. A large picture, a very expansive picture, you may get it with just a small sign. Wahi. And this idea it carries in the sayings of Allah the Most High about Zechariah. When he goes out amongst his people from the place of where he makes his prayers, I'm going to say, the mihrab. And he inspires to them. Zechariah inspires to them that they are to glorify in the mornings and in the evenings. He's speaking to them in a sign. Yes. And I believe if I'm not mistaken. He's to speak to them for 3 days. Now let me digress for a moment and look at our history of how Islam came to us in America. It began with Prophet Muhammad, Master Prophet Muhammad, and he is the master. He's the master. He spoke, if we look at the history that we're given, the mythology that we're given of Prophet Muhammad. Yes, the myth. Mythlina. He like us. But he's given him in the mythology, he said he came for 3 years. And then in the mythology he disappeared after 3 years. So he came and spoke in symbolic language. Prophet Muhammad's language is not straight language. It's not to be taken as literal, straight and literal. It's to be taken as sign language, symbolic language, language with using symbols, using our own history as African American and the Quran. This is what makes him the master. He takes the Quran and the history of the African American and created a symbolic language expressing the Quran symbolically in the history of the African American. Yes, speaking to higher realities. Study Zechariah, and we'll start seeing Prophet Muhammad. فَقَدْ قِيلَ, and it is said, keep in mind we're talking about Ishara. We'll make it short. We're talking about Ishara, Wahi. Wahi being defined as Ishara. So فَقَدْ قِيلَ, and it is said, Ramazan, meaning that Zechariah, he used symbols, and or he used sign language, Ishara, pointing out things with sign language, which all of it we're saying is Ishara, is a form of Ishara. Or he wrote. He didn't speak to them. With explanation. He gave signs, like Prophet Muhammad. Yes, he spoke with his mouth, but it was signs coming out of it in his speech. Well, Allah had in these views, the Most High in His saying, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. So he's saying, likewise, we have made for every prophet an enemy, a Satan's of man and jinn. Satan's shayatina al-insi wal-jinni. So Satan's of man and jinn. I'm emphasizing jinn because we had the jinn, and we talk about how the jinn grew to be a Satan. Yes, perhaps it's grow to be a Satan too, or influenced by the Satan, both man and jinn. Yes, because they're enemies. Both man and jinn are enemies to every prophet. They're Satan. They become Satans as enemies to every prophet. Because, and some of them as inspires. Some of them inspire others of the men and the jinn. Some of them inspires others. Zuhrufa al-qawli gururan. In terms of embellishment and deception. They embellish the speech. They exaggerate the speech as a way of inspiring in the form of being an enemy to the prophets. Now, remember Quran bil Quran using Uragib. This is in M.A.L.I 112. So if we take the word for Wahi and then see the key words that goes with Wahi. Jinn, ins, shayateen, enemy, prophet. We start building the word field to see the conceptual idea of Wahi. Zukhrafa, gurur. So even inspiration can come in the form of embellished speech, which has in it deception. Yes. And if we look at Fard Muhammad, who used sign language, who used symbolic language, many were deceived by the language because they did not understand or couldn't grasp this conceptual idea of Wahi until the one came after who was able to show us the speech. Yes. When he said the black man was the original man, we took it as we find those in the Quran taking it, we took it as he was speaking of Bashar. We took it as Bashar when he said the black man is the original man. No, it's not Bashar. He's talking about the inner being, the original nature is the black man, not the Bashar. But we took it as the Bashar. We took it as the man with the black skin. So we became, not that he was the enemy, we became misguided and deceived because we didn't understand the language. Now Satan used the same method. He's not the Satan. Allah is not the Satan when he uses ishara, when he uses sign language. But the one who comes to deceive, he used the same method, sign language, to deceive, knowing that you are going to be deceived. Once again, Ramadan session for the students. So we see the words we can put together to start looking at the idea. I don't want to go too far with Wahi. وَقَالُهُ, and it's saying, إِنَّ الشَّيَاطِينَ لَيُوحُونَ إِلَىٰ أَوْلِيَائِهِمْ. So the Satans, the satanic ones, they inspire their following, their progeny. They inspire them, their friends, their friends. The followers, their friends, they inspire. We can say they inspire each other. See, inspiration here, if we're reading now the Quran, inspiration can come from Satan, just as inspiration can come from the prophet. Just as inspiration can come from Allah. That man can inspire each other as Bashar. We're talking about Bashar now, as Bashar. Skin. Yes. We had the word sensitivity. Bashar has the, when we're talking about the outer skin, we're talking about perhaps even the sensitivity of man and the function of the skin, which we will get into later in other sources. We're going to have to we have to make the connection with all of the sources. So look at inspiration. We saw how Zechariah inspired. Zechariah inspired. Now the Satans can inspire. فَذَلِكَ, and we can see how they inspire with whispering signs. From his saying, we could say, min sharri al-waswasi al-khannasi, from the evil of the whisperer, the withdrawer. وَبِقَوْلِهِ, and by his saying, alayhi salatu wassalam, this will be the saying of the Prophet, that inna lish-shaytana lammatun. So for the shaitan is a visit. He may visit or he may call you. He visits. The same as the words of the Quran can inspire. I believe I was saying it yesterday. We can still be inspired by this Quran, and it is still inspiring, man. And those of us who are not carrying baggage, we're reading this Quran now again, and we're reading it with a clear mind. Reading this Quran and being inspired by it all over again. Yes. So just as the words of the Quran can visit our original being, that inner being, and inspire in us our hearts, our inner being, so can Satan. He also inspires. How does he inspire? He inspires in terms of his close relationship, and closer in terms of whispering. Yes. And withdrawing. These adding to the conceptual idea of inspiration. So let's keep today's presentation in mind as we go through the sources. Next week, we're going to start with tafsir sources. And the first one we will use is Al-Bahru al-Muhit by Hayyan. We will look at that tomorrow. So I thank you for your time today, your presence today. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak.